Welcome back to Out Loud and On Purpose. Today, I want to ask you a question that's probably bigger than it sounds at first. And here it is. Who am I on purpose? Not who have I always been or who do people say I am, but who am I choosing to be on purpose because it's who and what I actually want to be. And I'm going to start with a quick personal story. There was a season in my life when if you had watched me from the outside, you'd have probably said, that guy is living on autopilot, man. I was doing the thing, keeping the commitments, going through the motions, but so much of it was driven by old expectations, old habits, and other people's expectations of me. And one day it hit me, I wasn't actually choosing my identity. I had inherited it, and I was reacting instead of creating. This episode is about changing that. And by the time we're done, I'm going to give you a couple of simple ways to start naming who you are on purpose. And one concrete step you can take today to begin living that identity out loud. Let's step in it. Welcome back, everybody, to the 9th chapter of Out Loud and On Purpose, the podcast. And today we're talking about who am I on purpose. I'm your host, Kyle Hargrove, and once again, I am here and privileged to be here with the lovely and talented and amazing Miss Amy, who makes everything better.
Hello, Kyle.
How you doing?
I am fantastic. What an introduction. Thank you.
I think all of our introductions are probably sounding very similar these days. But,
well, that's all right.
I mean, there's nothing better to say than you're lovely and talented and amazing. And you,
I like hearing it.
You do all the things. And I actually, if you haven't listened to our previous podcast and you don't know that Miss Amy is an esthetician. I can never say the word right.
I do not put people to sleep before surgery.
I can't say it right when I'm trying to mess it up, and I can't say it right when I'm trying to say it right. Miss Amy is an esthetician, and I have, for a few months now, become one of her subjects. And I go in about every 6 weeks to have my nose and my ears waxed. Both noses, both ears, and I could not be happier with the result.
Well, thank you.
Anyhow, how was your 4th of July? We just got past the 4th of July weekend. How was yours?
It was really nice. Laid back, chill. Ate some hot dogs.
Ate some hot dogs. Did you get any lake time or anything like that?
No. I'm not a huge fan of the sun.
Yeah, I didn't see that you had gained any shades of anything.
No, I stay Snow White year round.
Yeah, well,
and like it.
And it contrasts with your wardrobe, which is usually on the darker side.
Black on black with a splash of black.
Yes. And black accents.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're getting on past the 4th of July, getting on into the summer, and it's been something that's been prevalent in therapy a lot with some of my clients, and it got me thinking about it. And so, I've been kind of just piddling with the idea of what who am I and what am I, and what of that is on purpose and what of it's by default. It's kind of the nature versus nurture thing. What part of it do I get naturally because of where I lived and the house I grew up in and the community I was in and the schools I went to and so forth? And what of who I am is something that I decided I would create. And I have a feeling if people are going to stop and give this some thought, they're going to be a little bit stunned at what they come up with. And they're going to realize, because you're going to realize, I think, more of you than not are going to realize I am more a product of my environment than I am of what I wanted to be and what I've created. And that, my friends, is what we refer to when we say drifting. Are you drifting or are you creating? So let's talk about identity today in 2 layers. And the first layer is what I call default identity. And it's who we become, I don't know, I guess we could call it by accident. And it's the labels we pick up from family and culture and, I don't know, survival strategies. And it's the roles we play without ever really asking, do I want this? And does this fit who I'm becoming? Because how many of us have stopped and given intentional thought to what we're becoming or who we're becoming? So a default identity in an adult sounds like, I'm just the responsible one, or I'm the fixer, or maybe I'm the quiet one, or I'm the one who puts everyone else first. Those end up being your serial killers, by the way. You just get tired of it and kind of resentful and so forth. Some of those labels, though, are flattering and sometimes they're heavy. But either way, those labels usually start and come to fruition very unconsciously. So the second layer is a chosen identity. And we're going to go back and fill in the gaps a little bit. But I just want to get through them so everybody knows where we're going. Chosen identity is who we decide to be because it aligns with something. And it might be our values or our vision or the kind of presence we want to bring into the world, the kind of mark we want to leave on the world, an imprint, if you will. And it sounds more like, I am someone who tells the truth with kindness, or I am someone who shows up fully present for the people that are important to me, or I am someone who follows through on what matters. And that might go against what the majority sees or feels, but they do it anyway. And that's somebody who has chosen their identity instead of accepting the identity that their environment has imprinted on them. So I think this starts, or the genesis of the why in the road, where you choose a chosen identity or your default identity. And that's quite ironic that I'm thinking that way, because that's the cover of my new book, Out Loud and On Purpose, has a why or a in the road.
Like a fork in the road.
A fork. I was trying to come up with that word. Fork. Why? Fork. That's such an easy word. But anyway, I think the fork in the road comes probably middle to late adolescence, when you're 15, 16 years old, and you stop and say, do I want to live my life, the rest of my life, in this little one-horse town with my little one-horse family? Because I was born into a ranching family, am I going to continue to be a rancher? And usually around here in Hico, Texas, population 1379, the teenager says, no, I don't want to be the rancher. I want to ride in the rodeo. And then when they realize that's not going to pay the bills, they end up being a rancher or a farmer or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious if you could think of somebody maybe in high school, who stepped out, who said, you know what, this is not for me. This environmental thing of my identity being created by who I'm around and what I'm around when I have no choice, not for me. I am something else. I'm passionate about something else. I'm driven to be something else, and this is what it is. And now, when you look back, you say, and they did. They not only were different then, but they're way different now. Anything come to mind, Amy?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Do tell.
So, I am not from Hico. I grew up in the city.
Neither is anybody else that lives in Hico.
I know, right. Grew up in the city, and I went to high school with Daryl and Vinnie Abbott of Pantera. Super, super cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
Panthers both.
Yeah. And then they knew, they were playing music when, they were kids. They grew up with Kiss, and they did glam metal for a long time, even, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. But as you're saying this and you asked me that question, they stood out to me because they knew what they wanted to do. And it was so different from, I'm sure, what their parents wanted for them, and that was, the late 80s late 80s, right in the middle of Satanic Panic, and they are playing metal.
Kiss and Ozzy Osbourne and
absolutely, and they were wearing makeup and spandex, and they were doing Glamterra then
in high school.
And yes, absolutely,
in class,
not in class.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't know.
We all would go. We might have snuck out, and they would play this little place called Joe's Garage, and it.
And where was this again?
In Arlington.
Arlington, Texas. What high school?
Bowie High School.
Bowie High School.
Bowie High School. And,
amazing.
And they were just individuals, but they had that it factor. But they were different. They intentionally wanted to play music. They wanted to do music, and that's what they did. And their talent, oh my gosh.
And look at them now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They're sadly neither one are with us any longer, but what music they have given to us and younger generations, they've inspired many, many musicians.
Yeah. Well, Hico, Texas, as much as we were, having fun with it a while ago, is a place where we have a lot of, not a lot, there are several individuals that live in and around the vicinity who are like Snickers bars. They wanted to get away.
Yes.
And they have chosen this locale to build their life and to build their farms and their ranches and their places. And they still work hard, but they can afford it. So that's cool. That's cool. And, there's a lot of people from my high school too, or from my high school era and the area where I grew up on the south side of Houston. Let's give a shout out to the Alvin Independent School District, Alvin High School Yellow Jackets. And I guess probably most of the people that are reasonably well known were athletes, more specifically baseball players that have been recognized and are still playing in the professional ranks. Not when I was a kid, clearly. There are no people in their mid-60s playing in the major leagues.
Playing
ball. But I can remember them, and I remember the people that were set apart, and we made fun of them.
Really?
Well, who didn't? The people that don't go with the flow and that step out and they're different, we made fun of them. I remember one guy, and I'm not going to use his name because I didn't get his permission to do so, but we never saw him on the weekends. Why? Because he was gone every weekend riding as a practically, if not a professional horseman, doing the I don't know what they call it, the English saddle kind of horse riding and the shows where they jump the fences and do the steeplechase and run through the water and things like that.
Agility stuff, or there's a word for that. I'm not a horse
But this guy was
person.
doing that every weekend, so he wasn't around with us a lot. But and we didn't make fun of him, but
it was different.
He set himself apart, and he did it intentionally. And to my understanding, that's still what he does.
Wow.
Not necessarily the competition part, but the training and all those things. And that was his passion, and that's what he did. And man, I admire that. I put that way up there, on a pedestal.
What do you call that? I'm assuming it's a sport where they dress up in chain link metal and they have the thing on their face and they have a sword. Is fencing? Is that what it is?
Yes.
I went to this school with a.
The sword is not really a sword. It's a very tiny,
it's like a
needle, like
right,
like a 3-foot needle.
Yes,
that has a lot of flexibility and play in it.
That's fencing. Yeah. There was a kid that did that when I was at like junior high, 6th, 7th grade, and everyone made fun of him. And I'm like, really? Y'all should probably rethink that. Because he'll kick your
Maybe
butt.
he was an Olympian later. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But fencing in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
But he loved it.
I know nothing about it. All I know is from The Mask of Zorro, when Antonio Banderas was showing Zorro what he could do. And Anthony Hopkins, who was Zorro, asks the question, do you know how to use that thing? And Banderas says, yes. The pointy end goes into the other man.
Oh, no. Well.
That's all I know
valid.
about it. Yeah. Well, let me go back to that story that I opened with about me, because after all, this is about me, right? But for a long time, I carried the label, and I don't know what the label was, but I was a singer and quasi-musician. I always said, I'm not a musician, I'm a singer. And sometimes there is a very specific differentiation between those two things. But in that, I followed my love for God and my understanding of service to others into what I presumed meant all I could do was to go into the ministry and into the church and do music and lead worship and things like that. I worked with kids too, and I loved that as much. But I kept things running, and I did that because it was my default identity. And it showed up in every part of my life, in my relationships, in my work, even in my creative life. But there was another version of me that kept trying to emerge and trying to come out and trying to make room for itself. Someone who speaks up, someone who leads, someone who creates things on purpose instead of just the maintenance of doing things by habit or by what everybody else expects you to do. And it took a decade.
How old were you at this point?
30.
Wow.
30. I started that when I was 20, and I wouldn't trade those years for anything or the people that I still know and still keep in contact with. But that was not for me. Mm-hmm. To begin with, I'm just a little irreverent to work on a church staff. I'm just a dude, and I don't do the glass house thing very well, where people are always looking in, and you're in a position where they feel like they have the right to look in and judge what you do and what you say and how you say it and things like that. And I don't know, I just didn't fit that very well. But at some point, I had to decide on purpose, who am I? Not what everybody expected of me or what everybody told me I would be so good at or anything along those lines. But who am I? Who do I want to be? And what identity do I want to be a part of creating instead of just allowing it to happen to me? And am I somebody who steps forward when it matters? And I'm going to be the first person to stand up and tell you, at that point in my life, I was so disinterested in being anything that anybody told me I needed to be or what they wanted to be or what they expected me to be, that I was a failure, not only in that part of life professionally and with my career, but also in my personal life, in my relationships, in my marriage. I was a failure. I wanted away from all of it. I wanted to create something. And let me tell you what, be careful if you decide to tap the brakes on being that thing and that person that everybody else expects you to be and that the environment has created. Don't slam on the brakes, tap them. Be careful, because if you slam them on, you're probably going to make some really poor choices. You're probably going to make some irresponsible choices. You're probably going to walk into this place in life, which is written about in my book, it's the first chapter, where you say, I deserve to be happy. Mm-hmm. I've been doing all this expected stuff because it's what I thought I was and who I thought I was, and I'm not happy. Well, I deserve to be happy, and I'm going to be happy. And then you create the environment that you think it takes for you to be happy. And nobody ever comes out of that unscathed. Nobody ever comes out of that without having made some decisions that create some retrospect.
Again, expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that decision didn't magically change my life overnight, but it changed how I showed up in 1,000 small moments throughout the rest of my life up until this point. And that's the shift I want to invite you into today. From default identity to a chosen identity, from inherited to intentional.
I have a question.
Please.
Would you say that it is ever too late?
I don't even know the rest of your question, and the answer is no.
Okay, I think you do.
I presume. Mm-hmm. But whatever you're going to say, it's rarely, if ever, too late. As long as you have the breath to speak, as long as you have the passion to step in and step up, it's not too late.
And then maybe go back to our previous episode about courage and listen to that one. Because I would imagine you'd have to have some courage.
Chutzpah.
You did. Good job. I'm proud of you.
All right, we'll talk about the practical side of this when we come back. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming back to the Out Loud and On Purpose podcast. I told you when we took our break that I was going to try to help you make this practical, this idea of choosing your identity rather than living your life with a default identity that you didn't get a lot of choice in, even though you did. You didn't take it. And it's not a character issue that you didn't make that choice. It might be that you didn't know you had the choice. If you did and didn't take it, then shame on you. Shame on me. I mean, I've kind of outed myself a little bit today. And but now you get to choose your identity. You get to choose who you are, what you are, and where that leads you. So let's make it a little bit practical. I want to give you a simple framework with 3 words, and they are values, vision, and voice. So you don't have to remember something complicated, because if it was complicated, I would not be sharing it with you now because I wouldn't understand it. But just remember those 3: values, vision, and voice. And I'm going to make this simple. We're just going to walk through them. Values. What actually matters most to me? And ask yourself, and if you need to pause the podcast for a minute, then please do so. But wait till after I ask this question, okay? Ask yourself what really matters to me when nobody's watching. Not what should matter, not what's trendy, but what genuinely lights you up and feels true. So before you pause and give yourself the opportunity to say, what is that? I want to give you some choices. I have 7 words here that I think are going to speak to you. One of them will, probably more than one. And here they are. I'm just going to list them. I'm not even going to define them, because if they are for you, you're going to know it. Presence. That's Presence. Not, I love to get presents and I'm passionate about that. All right. Presence, courage, kindness, excellence, curiosity, generosity, and integrity. I'm going to say them again. Presence, courage, kindness, excellence, curiosity, generosity, and integrity. And I'm going to encourage you to pick 2 or 3 of those that feel most like you. So hopefully you jotted those down. And if you didn't, you can go back and, I gave them to you twice. So you don't even have to stop it, because you can get all 7 of them. But your chosen identity is built on the foundation of those values, or values very similar to them. So, for example, if courage and integrity matter deeply to you, and they're what you live for, and they're what gets your attention and what you want to be more than anything else, then your on-purpose identity is not going to look the same as somebody else's. Maybe somebody whose values are comfort and control. Now, I don't even put those on my list of values. I'm not saying I don't like comfort and that there aren't times where I prefer to be in control, usually behind the wheel of a car. But those aren't who and what I want to be more than anything else. So I'm going to put Ms. Amy here on the spot. She has no idea how I'm coming at this, but she's always prepared, so I'm not really concerned. So I don't know if your primary values are within this list of 7 or if they extend past it, but I'm going to ask you just to look at this list of 7.
Okay.
The presence, courage, kindness, excellence, curiosity, generosity, and integrity.
Okay.
Is there one in there that speaks to you more so than the others? And if so, how does it manifest itself? How do you see it? How does it show itself to others in terms of how you're choosing your own identity? Well, this is a test.
Out of this list, I think kindness stands out to me the most. Kindness is, when I look internally, that's what makes me light up on the inside, to be kind to others, to be kind, positive energy. So, and the way that manifests, to be quite honest, I don't know how it manifests, other than I've just always had this knowing within myself that I wanted to be kind. And so I just am to others. I don't, for it to manifest, that would be something else on the list that I would actively, I would choose, let's say, integrity. And then I would work towards manifesting that.
And how that looks is not the same for any 2 people. I mean, some of the choices we would make may be similar or exact, but not all of our lives play out the same. So the opportunities to exhibit those things look differently in different situations.
Right.
Did you ever see the movie Patch Adams?
No. Robin Williams?
Yes.
No. I know I'm familiar with it, but I've never seen it.
Okay. There's a golden moment in that movie when Robin Williams, who is at that point deciding who he's going to become and who he wants to be. He's in a psychiatric hospital because he's lost his way. And
He's a patient?
yes,
Okay.
later in the movie, he's the doctor.
Okay.
But at this point, he's the patient. And he meets this angry, bitter old scientist who's also in the hospital. And late one night, he walks to his door and knocks on the door and says, "Can I come in?" And the scientist gives him some sarcastic, bitter response, but basically says, "Yeah." And Robin Williams comes in and he sits down. The guy's writing these equations on paper, just as fast as you can think of them. He's writing them out and they're just coming out of his head. And so Robin Williams sits down beside his desk in a chair and he's just kind of watching him with some curiosity. And while the guy continues, he's talking to him and writing these equations at the same time. I can barely talk and talk at the same time, much less talk and do something else, especially mathing. But while they're talking, Robin Williams sees a paper cup, a coffee cup sitting on the desk, and it's leaking. And he picks it up, and it's, he's looking at it, and he sees where the leak's coming from, and he finds a little piece of tape on the side of the desk somewhere, and he pulls it off, and he plugs the leak on the coffee cup, and he sets it back down, and it's no longer leaking. And the guy kind of looks over at the cup for a minute. He doesn't look at Robin Williams. He just looks at the cup, and then he goes back to his equation. And so, but it makes a difference because suddenly his demeanor changes, and he teaches Robin Williams something in that moment that Williams came to ask him about. And then after he teaches it to him, Robin Williams says, or Patch Adams says, "Well, what do you think about me?" And the guy looks at him and he looks down at the table and he says, "You fixed my cup, Patch."
Mm-hmm.
That's where he got the name.
That's where he got his name. Yeah.
But it wasn't the name. It was the kindness. It was a silly, stupid, simple act of kindness that brought this guy out of his scientific shell and allowed him for a moment to be a person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that scene gives me chills every time I think about it. And I share it with clients on occasion. I'm a movie clip guy, and I don't know how many therapists share movie clips with their clients, but I do because they are incredible teaching moments.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point that for the last 25 years, when I watch a movie or go to the movie, I'm looking. Is there something I could use in there? Something that's significant.
That's kind of like what I was saying about, like he just did that. He didn't even think twice. He just did it because that's who he is. So that kindness, helping the other man, to fix a problem. That's just who he is. He didn't even think twice about it to do that.
And it actually,
but the other guy recognized that.
Yeah, in the movie, he becomes the doctor, and his kindness and his compassion actually are his downfall. In the movie, and it's you're going to have to watch it now.
Yeah, I should watch it.
You don't have a choice. Yeah, great movie. I don't care who you are. Super movie. Lots of Bring your box of Kleenex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mascara warning.
Yeah, mascara warning. I don't even think about those things. I always have a sleeve.
Gross.
Whatever. So, all right. So we've talked about values. Let's go to the next one. Vision. And when we say vision, it's like, imagine this. Who would I be if I lived these values for 3 years straight? And I don't know why I chose 3 years. I don't know. It just seems like
it's a good odd number.
a good test. Test area, test distance, test period of time. If you could do something for 3 years, you're going to see the benefits or the consequences of it. No question about it. So close your eyes for a moment. If you're driving, please use your context clues and logic, and don't do that. Okay. But imagine a day 3 years from now, and you wake up in this world and this life that you have been consistently and quietly building. And you've been living your values on purpose, not perfectly, not even up to your own expectations, but faithfully for 3 years, way more often than not. So here are the questions I want you to ask yourself in that vision. What does that version of me look like? How do I walk into a room? How do I listen to people? And one of my favorites, how do I handle conflict? What is my calendar or my wallet or my check? No, my online mobile banking account. What do those things say? My calendar and my bank account. What do they say about what I care about? And that picture, that future you is a clue to your chosen identity. Not the default identity, but the chosen identity. I don't really have anything to add to that. I think that is very poignant, and it speaks to the matter of vision. What would you look like if you had been doing this for a minute? That's your vision. Number 3, your voice. What I am statements support that version of me. The one for the vision I just had. If I'm going to make I am statements about me or I do statements about me, what's that going to say? Now, in therapy with clients and in coaching with couples that I've done, we talk about a personal manifesto, and we ask them to create one. And the rules for that include, you can't say, I want to be, one day I will, or I hope to, or when I grow up. In every part of that manifesto, and with my clients, I ask them to come up with somewhere around 10, no more than 10 items that describe their identity. And that they're either I am this thing or I do this thing. I am someone who keeps my word to myself. I am someone who chooses connection over comfort. I am someone who tells the truth even when the truth sucks. I am someone who intentionally makes space for joy. I work out 4 to 5 days a week for at least 45 minutes to improve my health and longevity of life. These are things I do, and these are things I am. So these aren't affirmations that you recite to pretend that reality is different. These are identity statements, and you adopt them so you can practice becoming that person over a period of time. Just because you write them down and say, this is what you are and this is what you do, doesn't mean that that's what you are and that's what you do. Not now, but this is what you want to and anticipate becoming over a period of time. And the more you put that in front of you, the more you read it, the more you say it, the more you believe it, the more you expect it, you're actually rewiring your brain. I love this statement, and I kind of made it up. I'm not saying nobody else has made it up before. I call this changing your mind. And it's not like saying, oh, instead of wearing red, I'm going to wear blue. This is actually changing your brain. The more we do to help to change our mindset, the more we are imprinting new neural pathways in our brains. And those become our default settings, but not without consistency, not without intentionality, not without putting in the time.
Much like muscle memory.
Exactly. But you have the ability to change your mind, even if you're not a woman.
Oh, goodness.
I'm probably going to catch some crap about that. But if you're able, I want to really encourage you to pause for a minute and write down 2 or 3 I am on purpose statements. For example, I am on purpose a person of courage, which means even though I'm afraid, I choose to show up. I am on purpose someone who shows up fully present. I'm going to give what I got. I'm not going to leave anything out there. Everything I have, I'm going to give to this situation because whoever I'm showing up for deserves it. Or maybe they don't, but that's who I am. I am on purpose someone who chooses intentional relationships over shallow relationships. And if you can't write these things down right now, at least say one out loud. I am on purpose a person of courage. I may not feel that way yet, but by golly, I'm going to do it. There's something powerful about hearing your own voice declare what you are choosing to be. We're hoping, we're praying, and we're expecting that you're going to choose to be something you've never given yourself the opportunity to be before, not to its fullest. I'm not saying, I'm going to get integrity. Never had it before, but I'm going to get it. No, you've already got it. And you know how important it is. Maybe you've not given yourself the opportunity and the full chance to develop it to the point that you are choosing to be that person. I want to thank you for joining us today. on Out Loud and on Purpose. When we come back next time, we're going to finish this topic, and we're going to talk about the barriers that cause living on purpose to seem so hard, and a couple of practical steps in addition to what we've already talked about that will give you the opportunity to put this into motion in your actual day. Let's bring it home together next time on Out Loud and on Purpose. We'll see you then.